Board Gamers?
I'm Julie, that's Jason.
And today on Dice and Dragons, we are going to be reviewing a game that is published by practically a local publishing company. But
it is local. They're practically in our backyard.
Well, it's still not in our backyard, so not quite. In any case, the game that we are going to be reviewing today is Century Spice Road, published by Plan B Games and designed by Emerson Matsuuchi. Now, I'm going to let Julie tell you guys more about the game itself.
So this is a competitive game. I know, we're reviewing another competitive game. I don't know what's happened to me. It's for ages 8 and above. It's a 2 to 5 player game that plays in about 30 to 45 minutes.
Yeah, I think you definitely got that right. We played it a few times and it's never really gone anywhere even close to going past that. Now, to tell you guys more about the game, what are you doing? You are producing and acquiring spices through trading. Now, what you need to do is you need to get certain spices to then trade in for point cards. You will then be able to acquire point cards and in some cases coins. Now, each point card and coins have a different scoring value. Once a player has acquired 5 point cards, the game will end. There will be one final round. After that, you will total up all of the points. And of course, the person with the most points will be the victor and the Spice King.
Or Queen.
Or Queen, yes. I got the King stuck in my head. I was thinking, Spice, Dune. For those of you that know the franchise, Julie's staring at me blank-eyed right now. We're really going to have to get you to watch Dune. At least the movie. It's going to be done by a local director.
Okay.
So with that being said, we're going to grab our drinks. Grab our best friend.
And we're going to take it to the table.
I've been looking forward to getting this one to the table for a while. Heard a lot of good things about it, and I hope it lives up to the hype.
Sure it will.
You sure?
I think so. I'm going to be a spice queen.
Gonna be a spice queen?
Yeah.
Not a spice girl?
No.
What? She does look like Scary Spice in the morning sometimes. Now let's take a look at the components for Century Spice Road. Now we're going to start with the rule book or rule sheet. As you can see, this game is probably going to be fairly straightforward. One page covers all the rules. Now, for those of you that notice that our game is English and French, there is a French one-pager included as well. Now, I know this is for the Canadian version. If you're watching this from France, you can let us know if you guys got the same version that we have. Now, with that being said, let's move on to the other components of the game. We're going to start with the merchant cards. Now, there are 3 types of merchant cards in the deck. You've got your trading ones where you can trade spice for other spice. In this case, you would trade 2 cardamom for a cinnamon, saffron, and turmeric. You have your harvesting cards where you may harvest spices. In this case, you'd harvest turmeric and cardamom. You have also the upgrade cards. Now you notice that this card has a purple border. The reason for that, it is one of the starting cards. Each player will start with 2 merchant cards, 1 upgrade and 1 harvest. Now with the upgrade card, you can either upgrade a spice twice or 2 spices each one time. And here you've got some other examples of the merchant cards and the type of trading that you can do. Now, we've talked about the merchant cards. Let's move on and we shall talk about the points cards. Now here we've got the points cards and they're fairly straightforward. In order to acquire them during your turn, you need to pay the required cost of spices. In the case of this 13-pointer, it is 2 turmeric, 2 saffron, and 2 cardamom. Now we've got the point coins here, the gold and silver coins that give you bonus points. Don't worry, when we get to the how to play as well as the setup, we'll show you where to put them and talk about how you will acquire them. Gold coins are worth 3 points. Silver coins are worth 1 point. Now, we've taken a look at all of the cards. Well, almost all of them. There is just the caravan cards left and the spices. So let's take a quick look at those 2 components. Now we've got our 4 spices, the yellow being the turmeric. Red is saffron, green is cardamom, brown is cinnamon. Here we've got our caravan cards. There are a total of 5 of them in the game. I have 2 of them out here right now. There are no differences between them except for the art. You can place a total of 10 spices on each card. There are 10 holding spots. And the only difference is that you've got this symbol at the bottom of one of the cards to symbolize the first player. And there you have it. We have taken a look at the components for Century Spice Road. Now I'm going to hop on my horse, my camel, whatever Julie's got prepared for me, and we're going to be moving on to our setup of the game. Now we're going to take a look at how you set up Century Spice Road. Now, the first thing you need to do is place the spices at the edge of the play area in the ascending order. So you're going to be starting with your turmeric, then your saffron, your cardamom, and cinnamon. Each player is going to have their starting caravan, so we are doing a 2-player setup, and they will have their 2 starting merchant cards. Now I've got the gold and silver coins out, but we're going to get them placed into the play area properly. The first thing we need to do is take the market cards, shuffle them up a little bit, and then we need to deal out 6 of the market cards. So we'll deal out 6. 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. Now this is an interesting deal because we have 2 of the creation cards that have already shown up, as in you're harvesting the spices. These are some of the more powerful cards in the game. Next we need to set up the point cards, and we're only going to deal out 5 of the point cards. And for those of you that watch the components, yes, I left the point cards in the same order. That's why I didn't shuffle them. There is a reason for that. It'll just make it a little easier on me with regards to how to play. I'm just bringing everything down to make sure everything stays on camera. Now, with regards to the gold and silver coins, you put 2 times the number of players. And you place them at the end of the sequence here. So the last card will have gold coins, whereas the second to last card will have silver coins. Once they are gone, they are gone. If you acquire a card with a coin above it, you take the coin as well, essentially giving yourself bonus points. And that's it. That's how you set up Century Spice Road. So as you can see, fairly straightforward. Now we're going to teach you guys how to play the game. Now we're going to teach you how to play Century Spice Road. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play a 2-player game until we acquire the first points card. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I want to teach you guys how to play the game with some actual gameplay. Now, we've got our first player right here, and we're going to be starting with player 1. Now, there are only a few things that you can do on your turn. Now, you may play a card from your hand, and this is the hand as we've got it open-handed. I can acquire a merchant card or acquire a points card, and the last thing would be refresh my hand. Once a card is played, we're going to just flip it over face down to symbolize that we cannot use it anymore. And player 1 has got a very straightforward move. We've got a creation card, one that would let us harvest saffron and turmeric. So we're just going to add that to our hand. And I'm going to just stack these a little bit so that they look more like a hand. Now when we do that, we slide the merchant cards down as they become easier to acquire. And we add a new one to the back of the deck. Now, player 2 might definitely want to acquire the cardamom, but in order to do that, they would have to pay spices all the way up to the card that they'd like to acquire, meaning we would have to have these 4 spices in our caravan. Now, it doesn't matter what color they are. They can be your turmeric, saffron, cardamom, or cinnamon. In one game, I actually gave away cinnamon to get the card that I want. I think I was slurring that there, so I'll try it again. Cinnamon. There we go. Now, it is player 2's turn, And as there's nothing great for them to do right away, we're just going to play the creation card. And what I'll do is I'll move it down and flip it over, as I said, to harvest some turmeric. Those they get placed in our caravan. We can have a total of 10 in our caravan. And just to mention, as I'm playing till the first point card is acquired, the game will end when one player purchases the 5th card. There will be one final turn of play, and then the scoring will commence. The game will have concluded. Now, we're not going to cover scoring. I'll talk about it after I get the points card. It's very straightforward. Now, we're back around to player 1, and let's start creating some spices. We are going to create some turmeric and saffron. Flip the card over, add those into our caravan. Now we're moving over, and it is player 2's turn, and probably the best thing for them to do would be potentially upgrade both of these. And now I'll just explain the upgrade process. You can either upgrade 1 cube twice, so from turmeric to cardamom, or can upgrade 2 cubes, as I'm doing, once to saffron. Now that means we no longer have any cards in our hand. We'd either have to acquire them or purchase a new one from the market. Now what we're going to do, straightforward here, is just create some more spices. Now we're back over to player 2, and the smartest thing to do actually is going to be to refresh. Now this puts us into an interesting position with player 1. So player 2 might be able to get that first point card before us, and I don't. But there is a way that we can do it, and that would be by using our upgrade card, and we can use it as many times as we want. So we could only upgrade once, for example. That's what I'm going to do in this situation, is just upgrade 1 card, give me enough to score some points. Now, the next best move for player 2 will be make some more spices, and it is now player 1's turn. We have nothing in our hand, but we don't need it. We can now pay to acquire our first points card. Now I'll just place that there. We also acquire the gold coin, which is worth 3 points. The points cards shall slide down, and we add a new one to the back, meaning the 16 would now get the gold. This 16 would get the silver coin, meaning this is actually worth 19 and this is worth 17. So how does scoring work? Because well, we'll come back to that. I'll play at least one more turn as player 2 just to see if there's anything good that we should be doing. Now we can try to acquire some more cards. We have some good potential with some cards coming up. And what I actually would do is I would purchase this merchant card as we're close to being able to convert some spice, get some variety, which will open up some new scoring opportunities. Slide the cards down. And we would then add another one. Now, player 1's turn, obviously, they would have to pretty much refresh their hand or purchase this card. There's nothing else that they can do. And that's really how you play the game. I know it'll move fairly quickly. It's what you see often with the 2-player version of this game. I think we do like it a little bit more at 3 and 4 players. You'll hear more about that in the upcoming review. But let's talk about scoring again. So how does scoring work? It's very simple. If player 2 had acquired the 5th card, their 5th point card, so let's say this was their last card, gameplay would end as this is a 2-player game. Now, if it was player 1, so this is the 5th scoring card, player 2 would get one final turn to score as many points as possible. So keep that in mind and plan your turns accordingly. What you would then do is you add up the total points from your 5 cards and any bonuses from the coins. So in this case, let's just take an example. Let's say player 1 had purchased this one, and then these 4, you would just add a total them all up. So this would be 9, 18, 28 plus 39, which is going to give you a total of 67. And that would be your final score. And that's really how you play the game. As you can see, it is very straightforward. So we are going to hop back onto our horse, our camel, whatever we have in our caravan, and move on to our review of the game. So Century Spice Road. What did you think of the game?
So I didn't know what to expect from this. You brought it home and you said, I think you're going to like this one, like you do for a lot of games that you bring home. And I thought, I'm not sure.
Not all games, but a lot of games.
I said a lot of games.
I'm usually right. She at least enjoys the ones that I say I think she's going to like.
So you said it was competitive, and I thought, I don't like playing competitive against you. So again, we brought it out at a games night and played it.
Our friend, just so you guys know, our friend Eric hosts a game night, the Aegis Game Day. A lot of fun. Thanks for having us, Eric.
So we played it. We pulled it out and played with Bill and Mike, who have a lot of experience playing games.
Yes, and they've already played this one, and it was our first time playing.
Yeah. So I have to say, the first time we pulled it out, I didn't quite get the gist of the game at first, and I made a few mistakes.
Yeah, but at first means like the first turn. The second turn, she was almost the runaway leader there.
Yeah, so I mean, there are different strategies to this, but definitely you need to be able to up your production somewhat. When we play
the creation cards.
With the creation cards. So you have cards that allow you to create cubes, allow you to create spices.
Different spices.
And they have different, how can I say, production values to them. So some produce a lot, some produce less. Mm-hmm. And as they come up in the marketplace, they can cost you more or less depending on how
they're positioned in the marketplace.
How they're positioned.
Now, one thing I just want to say about the creation cards, and I think you may agree with me on this, if you're looking to have a shorter game for a 2-player game, you may want to actually stack the creation cards into like the top half of the deck. Now, I don't necessarily think that you need to...
I don't think so. I think you just,
for a shorter game. It's a way to have a shorter game. I don't think it's necessary, but it will speed up your playtime by a lot.
I don't even think that's that important.
It's not important. It's just a way to speed up your playtime.
Yeah, I'm never a fan of stacking decks, personally.
No, but you put them in the top half of the deck, and then you shuffle the top half. You don't really know where they are.
So, that being said, despite the fact that I didn't catch on to that, and I didn't have any supplemental creation cards in my hand yesterday, I still managed to almost win the game. I'm the one who finished with the most cards, the 5 cards, I should say. I was just short a little bit on points because I couldn't match your production.
Yes.
And then when we played a 2-player version, contrary to other games we played, this is less trying to prevent you from doing things. It's more playing my own game. And yes, you can actually end up stealing, which you end up doing once. I don't know if you did it on purpose or not, stealing the card that I was trying to prepare my spices to purchase.
No, I saw that we were going for the same card. It was the best card available. I just happened to figure I counted the cards and I knew what you had, and I knew that I would be able to produce it before you. So I wasn't stealing it from you. I just knew I'd be able to beat you to it.
Another way for saying I wanted to make sure I had it and you didn't.
Well, yeah. In this case, it was like I wanted to score 17 points or I would score 12. I'm going to score 17.
So that being said, I find it less of that and more of, how quickly can you get to your 5 to produce the 5 cards and how much can you score. I have to say again in this case, as we've said the same thing for other games recently, I had more fun playing this at 4 than I did at 2. I think, again, the cards move faster. You have to think a little bit faster, and it's less about... It's a little bit more strategy, I think, when you're playing 4 players, because you're not necessarily going to get the card you hope to get.
But it still plays very well at 2 players.
No, it does. I'm just saying I had more fun at 4 than I did at 2.
Yes, and if I had to compare this to Spirits of the Forest at 2, I think I prefer this at 2 players.
Yeah, and I think that's what I just said as well. So I agree with you. So that's my take. I mean, I think it's a pretty game. I like the art. It really does. In this case, it really is art. They're all like individual paintings. And, I like the fact that you have the physical cubes. I like the fact that you have a maximum number of cubes that you can accumulate to try to limit you and put some constraints on the game as well. So for me, it was positive. I really enjoyed it. I don't really think I have anything negative to say about this game.
When I think about the game, I got to say this one actually lived up to the hype. Now, the only negative that I could say is that the way the game was hyped up, I thought that it would be more complex. But that being said, the game is very simple with a lot of deep complexities that come from the cards and the different ways to build your deck. So there is a deck building aspect to the game, and that was very cool. The only other thing I would say that I could think of as a negative is that once you've sort of built your initial deck, depending on what comes up, you almost can sort of move away from the marketplace cards. It happened to us with the 2-player, and happened with us in the 4-player as well.
Well, you stopped using it, but I found that was one of the ways that I could continue to create faster without having to rest, would be to continue to pick up marketplace cards that I didn't necessarily need if they had cubes on them, or as a way to try to see if I can pull out more creation cards.
No, but what I was saying is that I did find that at least at the player counts, as we got into the later portion of the game, as people sort of figured out what they're going for and how they want to play, depending on what's in the marketplace, we didn't see as much. Because if you get cards that are always going to be green turns into something, whereas you would rather have something that, you can turn red. So
I think in your
blanking
case,
on the name of the
the
different spices right now.
The case for you yesterday is you had creation cards, and 2 people in the game yesterday had a fair amount of creation cards. You didn't need the marketplace anymore. I didn't have creation cards. I needed to try to continue to use the marketplace to be able to try to stimulate either to pick up the extra spices or in order to be able to try to get more cards.
No, and I agree with you. What I was saying then, what I noticed specifically, at least in our 2-player game, it also happened at the end of our 4-player game, is the marketplace can potentially become a little static, as in it's always the same spice that's being converted into something else. And that is the only thing that I would...
Yeah, it depends on what the luck of the draw.
Exactly, the luck of the draw. And that's what I'm saying. That is the only slight negative that I saw, because we were using the marketplace, I found, even a lot more in our 2-player game that we played than our 4-player. But as the game went on, we kind of got locked into the green spice. And forgive me, I'm drawing a blank. I think we've got turmeric, cinnamon, cardamom, and I don't remember what the other spice is. Just in any case, whatever spice was the green spice was just sort of out in a plethora. And it really made us not necessarily want to go and purchase those marketplace cards. But
I don't even think for me it was that. I just knew I had the amount of creation cards I needed, and I just needed to put them into play to be able to purchase the points card. So
I think an interesting mechanic to see in the game, and this is just thoughts, not saying that the game needs to be changed, especially since this is the first game in the Century Trilogy, meaning you can combine all the games together to play one crazy, massive game. I'm excited to see what that is. Hopefully, we'll be getting a look at Century Eastern Wonders, the next game, sooner rather than later. But it'd be neat if there was a way for you to maybe even spend points, or if all players agree to sort of just muck the whole marketplace and reset it. Just a way to cycle through the deck a little bit more. I think that'd be interesting. Not saying that it's a negative aspect of the game. I'm pretty sure actually that at 5 players, you'd actually probably see the best amount of cycling through the marketplace that we've seen. It's just that in both our 4-player and 2-player game, the marketplace became a little less effective in I'd say, about the 3/4 point in the game.
Okay. I disagree, but that's okay.
Well, we're allowed to disagree.
Yeah. So on that, ready for rating?
Well, I haven't said too much about what I like about the game. So I got to talk about my negatives. And what I like about the game, as Julie said, the art. It is a beautiful game. I really like the production value. As she said, the cubes, the trays for the cubes, everything has a nice tactile feel, and that's a big plus about board games. One of the reasons I like board games. Starting to think I might like board games more than video games. Shh, don't tell anybody. At least some types of board games that is. Now, the other positive that I find is the fact that, as I mentioned, that this is part one of a trilogy that you can mix together. I think that is a fascinating concept. I have yet to see that being done in terms of like each game representing a different aspect. So while this is the Spice Road, Eastern Wonders, I believe, has more to deal with like island trading, and the third game isn't out yet. So hopefully it's going to be just as good as this one, and as the second one is reported to be. And now I do think we are ready to give it its rating. So what do you rate Century Spice Road?
I give it an 8.
You give it an 8? You know what? I think that this might actually be a 9 for me. I think this game is actually, if you are a gamer that likes deep, complex games, well, there is that level of complexity that you can find in the game as you play it more, and as you realize like different ways to upgrade your spice and then potentially downgrade them to gain more resources. And the other thing is the game is incredibly simple. I don't think we'd have trouble playing. Like, as I said, the game is marked for 8 and above. I can't picture myself having a difficulty explaining this to an 8-year-old. Maybe getting them to grasp the core concepts, but for them to be able to sit down at the table for me to explain the overall game for them and then they'll start playing, it'll be like that. And to me, that is just a huge plus. The rule book is one page, one side, the other side, and you got everything that you need to know. And production values, everything, I give it a 9. It's a fantastic competitive game. Falls more in the light category, but it's still not don't think it's an easy game just because it falls in more in a light game category.
Yep.
So what are we going to do now, Julie?
Well, first we're going to tell people to expect that there should be videos that will pop up at the bottom of the screen to other videos that we've done, other reviews. You can also comment, like, subscribe, let us know what you think. We're always happy to hear from you.
And click the bell to be notified as to when we will have another video coming out. So now we will grab our drinks, grab our best friend. And we're going to keep playing games.
That we will.
So you were the Spice Queen or the
I was.
Spice Girl?
Did I win the second game yesterday? I can't remember. I think I won twice, didn't I?
No,
I won this morning. I beat you.
Yes, you beat me the last time we played, but the other games that we played, I believe it was it might have been Bill or Mike that won, and then I know I won one.
I think I won.
Maybe.
I think you're remembering wrong.
Well then, why don't you, since you're a Spice Girl, tell me what you want, what you really, really want.
Oh, jeez, you went there.
Of course I went there. Uh-huh.
Okay, I think we want to cut.